What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Scouting Combine here on the Five Reasons Sports Network. Today is my very first 2023 prospect interview of the draft cycle, and today we are joined by Benny Sapp the third. Benny, how we doing, my guy?
How you doing, man? I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
I'm good, man. I'm excited to have you on because we're both
Appreciate it.
local. We're both local South Florida
Real
boys
talk.
that grew up playing ball and everything, and
Mm,
uh, just I was reading your story, just watching you play at UNI as well. I'm like, I gotta get this guy on. So man, I'm happy.
So,
I'm
I
happy you're
appreciate it, man. Thank you. Yeah, man.
of
I appreciate
course,
it.
of course, Benny. Local Broward man like myself. What is it about South Florida that you love, and like, what did South Florida ball teach you in ninth and 10th grade?
No, for sure, man. I feel like me personally, South Florida is the best, area. If you want your kid to play football, because just with the competition and all, like the greats and legends, before us, passed down, to the kids, throughout the whole community. And in the ninth and tenth grade, at St. Thomas, it really taught me, how to mature, and it let me know that I'm not, the only big dog on, at the school, and you really just soak up everything up, and learn from the older guys, and it's really competitive, which I'm glad that it is, because it helped me with my drive as well.
Of course, and you went to St. Thomas High School,
Mm-hmm.
and that says something here down here.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, you learn from really, really good coaches. You
Mm-hmm.
played and practiced against good players who did amazing in college and who are now in the NFL too.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
the hope is for every player like yourself to be in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the big thing was you had three knee injuries in high schools.
Mm-hmm.
And at Minnesota, you went to Eden Prairie after St.
Yeah.
Thomas in Prairie High
Mm-hmm.
School in Minnesota, and Coach Fleck went out to recruit you.
Mm-hmm.
So, what did Coach Fleck see in you back then, and how did you
Mm-hmm.
feel when he took a chance on you?
I think what Coach Flex seen, I was a kid, that never gave up, and that's one of the mantras actually at Minnesota. Never give up mantra, RTB, and that's really what he explained to me, and that's what he really liked about me, because I never gave up, and so hold up, my bad. Nah, but yeah, that's what Coach Fleck, I demonstrated and explained to me, and I really liked it a lot, because like you had said earlier before, Alabama and all the other schools and stuff, like all the big schools, kind of shaded away, due to my injuries, and that's what really stuck with me, to to keep my commitment there, and I'm grateful for him, still taking a chance on me.
And that's interesting because you said you had offers from big SEC schools that
Yeah,
us South Floridians talk about, like UF,
yeah, for sure.
Alabama,
Yeah,
Clemson. Like, you're like, damn, like these are blue bloods, right? Like they're interested in
yeah, for
me.
sure. Hmm.
But the thing is, these blue bloods, they're not always gonna be in contact with you. They sometimes
Yeah, for
don't
sure.
have your
Yeah.
um, best interest out for you,
Hmm.
and that really speaks to Coach Fleck and his program
Hmm.
at Minnesota. Now, look, you had to rehab from those three surgeries, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
You didn't play a lot in high school, but you were going to college because, of course, man, you're talented, you're athletic,
Yeah.
your coverage down pat as well. What was your rehab like from those three surgeries, and what did you learn
Hmm.
from that adversity?
Nah, yeah, man. The those rehabs and those three surgeries I had, man, it taught me a lot of patience. It really gave me a lot of hunger, and it helped me realize that sometimes in life everything not gonna go your way, but you got to keep going, and I'm really grateful, for that, because it really like helped me mature a lot in that aspect in life, and to see life different, and not stress about certain things that don't go your way. You got to keep pushing, and that's really what I learned from it, for sure.
And that hunger, that drive you talk about, how do you apply that onto the football field?
I applied on the football field, by first, like watching film and stuff like that, because I feel like film is probably the most important thing, you know what I'm saying, to play football. You know, if you don't know what's going on out there, I mean, you might as well don't even play. And
Right.
that it just taught me, you know, how to, stay focused, stay determined, throughout the whole process. Because back then, my injury, I always wanted to play, and once, whenever I got my shot, I knew I was going to take full advantage of it.
And I think the biggest thing was just that culture shock from
Hmm.
Florida, Minnesota.
Yeah,
Obviously, the heat is much different up there. It's
it's
barely
true.
in here. It's cold. I mean,
Yeah,
baby,
it's
it is
cool. It's
cold.
cold up there.
And the language too that we talk about down here is completely different in Minnesota. I got some
Yeah,
friends up in Minnesota as
yeah,
well, and I don't know if you played with Benjamin St. Juice, but
yeah. I
I
played with
talked
St.
to him a
Jude.
little bit.
Hmm.
The way he spoke, I was completely shocked by because it's not something that
Yeah,
I would have thought how people up in Minnesota would talk like.
right.
How did your communication change from just that Florida style to
Mm.
now up north in Minnesota?
Nah, yeah. So like, when I first went to Minnesota, I was 16 with a high top fade, tattoo, with a white tee on, and
You
everybody,
had them khaki jogger pants on.
yeah,
Oh, you got your shades
everybody
up.
kind of looking at me, like, who's this kid? Because I think in Minnesota you got to be like 18 to get a tattoo, and back home you just need 16 with a parent
Yeah,
consent. So everybody kind of looking at me kind of different, and then like you said with the language style, like the slang and stuff like that, and how we talk down there. They really couldn't, like my friends that I have now from Minnesota, they really couldn't like understand what I was saying at first. And it helped me like, realize, I gotta like, start to adapt a little bit if I'm gonna sit here and try to talk, to people. And then, it helped me, communicate better, help like, pronunciate my words better. I learned multiple, things in life, like words that exist, don't exist, and all that type of stuff. So it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool, going to Minnesota because it really
right,
like, helped change my life around.
right. How you speak about it changing your life. How did
Yeah.
it change your life? Not just from the lessons learned, but
Hmm.
from things you've experienced, some of the hardships that you experience, especially in your family.
Um, back then, like I said before, with the, the injuries and stuff, I had moved actually after, my second, surgery. So, that was a big, turn for me and my family. And, we in Minnesota really don't know anybody. And we actually, I feel like we bonded, way better, because, we really didn't really have family, friends, to go to, so we really was all we got. And so, that really, changed our lives for sure.
Now, a lot of that
Hmm.
changed, but the biggest consistency in your life, of course, was football. You
Yeah,
knew
for
the
sure.
game. You know the
Mhm.
ins and outs of it. What's so different from Florida high school ball compared to Minnesota high school ball?
The difference is honestly is Florida with having spring, being fortunate to have spring with the weather and everything like that. And up north in the Midwest, they really don't get a chance to, play spring ball, which kind of sucks because, people, us down south, we forever on the run playing football. And, the more you out there on the field, the better the better you get with more experience. So I'll definitely say that's the difference for sure. The weather and the spring.
Now, especially in high school, you had, well, more so maybe ninth and 10th grade and even middle school,
Mhm.
you had physical football as well. I
Yeah.
remember, talking with my friends in spring ball, the kids, they play for the PPO Bengals or
Yeah, that's what I used to play for.
you
Yeah,
used to
I used
play
to
for
play
the
for
PPO
PPO.
Bengals.
Yeah, I used to play for PPO.
I had a lot of friends at the PPO Bengals, especially from charter. Javon Eaton, he's at FSU now. Julian
Hmm.
Pierre, Jermaine, all of them. They all
Yeah.
went to play for the PPO Bengals, and sense of familiarity, man. Like PPO Bengals, they ran shit
Nah,
in the
yeah,
Brown.
they ran it for sure. But
Exactly.
I also went to Miramar Wolverines. You ever heard of them?
Yes, I
Nah,
do.
yeah, that's really where I started at, and then I went to PPO because that was the trending topic, and then I ended up going back to Miramar. But I've been to PPO for sure.
Oh man, everybody wanted to play for PPO. I mean, hey, I wanted to play for PPO, but I know I
Yeah,
could because that was the thing. That was basically like the Alabama
yeah,
of football down south in
yeah, for
Broward
sure.
County. But look, man, if you could change one thing about Minnesota high school ball, and it's in relation to spring ball, spring practice, how would you tell those high school kids in Minnesota if they don't have spring ball, like
Yeah.
what do they do in that time period?
Yeah. So when I moved, everybody, back home, was running around, outside, playing spring ball and all that stuff. So and my friends, we took we took to the side and was like, hey, let's go to the dome. So we tried to find like the nearest dome to go to, and gather all our friends up, just try to keep playing ball instead of sitting in the house, or what I'm saying, playing basketball is fine too, but if you want to play football, we got to find a dome. So that's what really we all did, just found a dome and just went to play 7-on-7 one-on-one drills, all that stuff to keep going. So that's what I say to all the high school recruits, that's in the Midwest. Try to find your local dome or anything like that to try to get the best drills you can. And it might be closed, so you might got to call to see when they have openings. So that's what we had to do. So yeah,
You had to call and see if it was open. You see, down here, all these fields are open. Go anywhere, be it a neighbor's yard, whatever. You play football. It's just the culture down here
yeah,
in Florida is a big football culture. You play in your neighbor's lawn, your yard, get the other kids, just start playing, throwing the ball around.
hmm
And I think that's the biggest change.
yeah,
Kids up
so
north that
mhm,
they need to start fostering up there. Now,
so
before we get to you moving on
mhm,
from Minnesota onto you and I, just a big shout out from our sponsors, Prize Picks. Use the promo code 5 to get a 100% match on your deposit. Again, the code is 5. Now, look,
mhm,
ultimately, Minnesota,
yeah.
you transferred from there. Why did you transfer from Minnesota to University of Northern Illinois?
Uh, the reason why I had transferred to UNI is because it wasn't because of like the coaches or the players wasn't treating me right. That everybody treated me with with real and great respect. It really was just off on it was going I was going on my third year, and then, I was still just playing special teams and just burning my years on special teams, and special teams is critical. Don't
Right.
get me wrong. That's how some people feed their families in the NFL. So special teams is critical, but in college, in order to get to the NFL, you got to play defense. And so I knew that, and I just needed an opportunity, and a fair shot, and I knew I was gonna get at least a shot here, due to my dad and Coach Farley relationships and everything like that. So that's really why I chose you and I.
And look, you had a spectacular fall season in
Mhm.
21. You talk about that RGB motto, the hunger, the
Yeah.
drive to learn from your rehab. How did you focus and what was your motto for the season to have a
Mhm.
career year last year, especially
Yeah.
at safety?
Yeah, for sure. So my focus was to honestly, number one, my motto was to get better in the film room from the spring. I can honestly say I was watching film, but I never really sat down and watched it on my own. So this past fall, I went in, got all the information from my coach and all the knowledge that he gave me, and just went in into the office, every Monday. First off, take week by 1 week at a time. I wasn't, looking ahead, trying to see who we got next. Whoever we got this week, that's who we got. Watch their film, break down their film, and take it like that every week. And I was fortunate enough, to watch a lot of film and able to display it out there on the field. And at the end, I just looked up, and then now everything's going crazy now. But basically, I just took it. My motto is just 1 week at a time. Whoever we have, stay focused like that, and you gotta watch film. So that's really
Gotta
credit
watch
to the
film.
yeah, it's really credited to the film for real, because honestly, without the film, man, I don't even know. I don't even know.
Of course, you got your practice drills, you have your 7 on
Yeah.
7s, your 11 on 11s, you have
Mhm.
you know, weight training, you have your
Yeah.
nutrition plan, but if you don't know what your opponent is going to do,
Right. Like,
what's the
you
entire
wasting your time. Yeah,
exactly,
you wasting your time, man.
exactly.
Hmm.
And I think this comes back in relation to your dad. Now, your dad
Yeah.
played in the NFL, and this is a Miami Dolphins podcast, so
Yeah.
he played for the Dolphins for
Yeah.
about a year. How instrumental is it for your dad to play in the NFL and give you these pointers this early on in your career?
Man, having a father, that did your dream job already. I mean, man, you can't ask for nothing better, man. All the knowledge that he gives me, everything as far as, reading my opponent, how to watch the opponent, certain clues out there on the field, different type of techniques. It goes all the way down, man. I really am thankful and grateful for my father, because without him, man, I wouldn't be in this situation right now that I'm in. So huge shout out to that man.
Of
So,
course, man, and it is Father's Day, so happy
hmm
Father's Day to all the fathers
hmm
out there for sure.
for sure.
Now, in a recent interview with NFL Draft Diamonds, you said you would donate a lot to breast cancer
Yeah.
causes. Why is this so important for you, and what can you do to raise awareness to this?
What I can do is hopefully, when I get that chance to, to reach the next level, use my platform to help out, the breast cancer awareness due to, my family, having family members that died from it and overcame it as well. So it really touched me as a, young kid losing a loved one with breast cancer. So I really just try to do the best I can and use my platform, to raise more money, to help get the more research and all that stuff getting down, to help other families, have their loved ones, with them as well.
That's very, very inspiring for you, Benny. And now, as you get into that next step or that next phase of your
Mm-hmm.
career, the question is, what's next for Benny Sapp? And I want to share something with you
Mm-hmm.
that your coach said in a recent podcast interview.
Really recognizable name. The first one, Benny Sapp, who was really, really good last year as a defensive back for your team. You've got a little bit of roster reshuffling since that spring season, but you still have Sapp here, who has been a really important part of your defense. Having him returning as a leader, what does that mean for your defense heading into this 2022 season?
It's huge. What we all know that Benny's a great player, but what makes Benny different than just a good athlete or a good defensive back is the energy that he brings every day to the weight room, energy he brings to a practice field, uh, the standard he sets for himself. I mean, those are all visible things that people can learn from. And I'll tie Benny Sapp into the three that you've already mentioned, whether it's Ellerson Smith, Ben Spencer Brown, Trevor Penning, heck, David Johnson from before. The common denominator of all those players is they held themselves to a higher standard, and they were always chasing what I call the ghost, the guy that's not even on our team, but they're chasing somebody out there in the country because they want to be the best in the country, not just be the best at UNI. And that's what Benny Sapp is. Benny is chasing to be the best defensive back in the country. So he trains that way, works that way. And then when younger guys see that, man, you're not going to catch Benny. All right. But if you push and train yourself and learn that that's the way you do it in time, you'll become the next Benny Sapp or the next guy that comes along. So what he's instilling in our younger players is when they're watching him going, yeah, he's a great player, but he's a great player because of what he does in the off season, what he does on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, not just what he does on Saturdays.
Yeah, man.
Those are some
Coach
big
Farley.
words from Coach Farley, man.
Yeah. Man, words can't express, the gratitude that, that I have for Coach Farley just off of, giving me a second chance, including my father as well. Me and my family, we're forever grateful for that man, and I appreciate, him, telling my story and telling the world who I am. And shout out to Coach Farley, man. I appreciate that, Coach.
I saw you smiling, just big grin all over your face when
Yeah.
he was saying all of that, and he's
Mm-hmm.
saying that you're chasing a ghost, not to be the best
Mm-hmm.
player on UNI, not to be the best player in the FCS, not to be the best
Mm-hmm.
defensive back in all of football, but to be the best player in all of college football.
Most definitely.
How can you get there next season?
Um, the way that I was raised with, and from my father, and other figures in my life. Honestly, just to worry about myself. It's really me versus me. Don't look at the critics. And don't get too happy on the highs. So, Really just, taking it, that motto, like I said before, man, just taking it 1 week at a time and then look up at the end and see what God got, and plan for me.
I had former FCS players on last 2 seasons here on the podcast. I had Quinn Miners, who's with the Broncos now, third round draft pick. I had Cole Strange on right before the draft, first round draft pick to the New England Patriots.
That's what's up.
Spencer Brown, Trevor Penning, Ellerson Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Will you be the next great UNI player, and will you declare for the 2023 NFL Draft?
Most definitely. All the names you said, man, are great. Shout out to all the boys, that came from UNI, putting everybody on the map. And I do believe that me and a couple more players, in my class that's, getting ready to go, will be, that next great player from UNI. And I will be declaring for the next year draft for sure.
Of course, Benny, and I wish you luck in this upcoming season. I know it's spring training. You're waking up 6:30 in the morning. You're going to bed
6:30,
at 10:30.
exactly.
Nutrition plan, bro. I've seen it. I have friends that play college football, that scout college football, that are actually coaches in college football. I know how the grind is for y'all, man, and kudos to you, man. Kudos to you. I do want to ask you one question, since we are at Dolphins podcast.
Yeah, no problem.
How would you feel if Dolphins drafted you in next year's draft when you declared? And how would it be lining up with a guy like Javon Holland, Xavier Howard, and learning from legends like Sam Madison and Patrick Surtain?
Yeah, man. Howard, man, I watched this film, in college at Oregon, and he's real, he's like a real instinctive player, very smart and knows where to be at every time. And then Xavier Howard, the name speaks for itself. The man is the best, one of the best, man-to-man coverage guys in the NFL with all the interceptions that he has. I mean, you rarely see him picking anything off of in his own. It's straight man. So that's kind of crazy, to be able to, to sit there and learn from somebody like that. And with Sam Madison and Pat Surtain, it's really crazy that you had said that, is because my dad played with Big Pat at Kansas City, and I met Pat when I was 5. So just as a kid, all I can remember is as an uncle figure to me. So every time we talk, he give me his knowledge and stuff like that. So being able to play for the Dolphins and getting a chance to play for them and getting coached by like my uncle figure, man.
Your Uncle Pat, bro. Imagine that.
Yeah, it'll be crazy, out of body experience for sure.
Of course. Now, Benny, I do talk a lot of coverages and technician things. What's your favorite coverage? And as a safety, why do you think the honey hole is probably the most important thing as a safety you're able to recognize?
The honey hole, especially for cover 2, man, that honey hole, because that's the spot. Everybody knows we got too high, and if you watch the proper film, you're gonna know when the team's in cover 2, and the defense obviously gotta disguise it as much as they can. But the honey hole is really important, because if the corner don't get a good reroute on the receiver, that honey hole is the honey hole for a reason. So
you gotta help that corner out.
Right. So being able to pick that honey hole off is critical. Like you damn near have to, because that's the weak spot, and that's the weak spot. So being able to to make a play on it is really critical. And besides man, quarters, and I'll probably say cover 3 is probably one of my favorites. Just being able to be in the post or being able to come down and playing the nickel role, playing the curl flats, reading the quarterback and the offensive lineman, getting the run pass key. And then, reacting off of the routes that you see, with your eyes and stuff like that. So I'll probably say cover 3. Besides, man, it's probably my favorite one.
Man's your fair. The Dolphins play a lot of man coverage. I can tell you that for sure. For sure. All right, Benny, man, before we go, where can our listeners and followers find you at?
You can find me on Instagram at Benny .Sapp, SAPP the 3 I's at the end. And then for Twitter, Benny Sapp as well. And then TikTok, same thing. Everything is my name. So just type in Benny Sapp, and then you should be able to find me.
Of course, man. Benny, thank you so much for coming on. And guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for watching, listening to Benny's story. Next week, we hope to have another episode for you guys. Maybe a 2021 Dolphins redraft. But as always, guys, enjoy y'all's Father's Day. Fins up, everybody.
All right, y'all. Thank you.